This update focused on expanding the project beyond a simple rendering sandbox into something that feels more like a real game. I added a portal system that allows different areas to be connected together, which makes the project feel much more like an actual game world instead of just one isolated map. It also gives me a much better foundation for expanding the world later with different environments, gameplay areas and progression. I also spent some time expanding the wildlife in the world. There are now 8 different creatures wandering through the world, and even though they are still fairly simple, they add a surprising amount of atmosphere and movement to the environment. I think this is especially important for generated worlds. Procedural terrain alone can still feel artificial and lifeless if nothing is happening inside it. Even small ambient behaviors like moving creatures make the world feel much more believable and inhabited. Most animals have individual hit animations and responses. Another important addition in this update was implementing player death and respawning. Up until now, there wasn't really any sense of danger or consequence in the world, since the player could freely explore without much risk. Adding a proper death system immediately made the game feel more structured and gameplay oriented. Even though the mechanics are still fairly simple right now, having failure states and recovery loops makes exploration feel much more meaningful. I also started working on a more direct interaction system for the world itself. Players can now harvest trees using tools, which is one of the first steps towards making the environment feel more reactive and gameplay driven instead of purely decorative. Alongside that, I implemented a context-aware hint system that displays actions depending on what the player is currently interacting with. This ended up greatly improving interaction clarity. At this point, the project is starting to feel much closer to an actual game than just a rendering or engine experiment. The world is larger, more interactive, more alive, and there are finally some real gameplay systems beginning to connect together. Is this a game yet? I think not. Most of the building blocks are now in place, but the next major challenge is turning those systems into meaningful gameplay loops and long-term progression. So not quite there yet, but for the first time, it feels really close.